Hello, today we're going to be ranking another Nerf series and we're looking at the Air Jet Power line. This will be a small line of 9 blasters and let's just get started, shall we? All of these will be air pressure pretty much, that's what the Air Jet Power was. It's an old line from the 90s and they have some pretty nice stuff in here. Starting out at number 9 is the Fast Blast. The Fast Blast was a 5-shot cylinder thing that is more like how Adventure Force Smart ARs work, because the barrels don't rotate, they rotate on the inside, and if the dart's not in the right barrel, it won't fire. How this thing works is there's no trigger. That green bar on the back, you would pull it back and forward, and that would fill its air tank and fire it. And this thing was just really bad, really inaccurate. Just a terrible blaster, really. It is from the 90s, but still, even for its time, it's just a bad design, and it just didn't work well. And then having to find the barrel that actually fired was even worse. And there's only 5 darts for a blaster that's pretty much it's pretty much just a crank blaster fake full auto that just failed. At 8 is the Power Clip. The Power Clip is, again, an air pressure blaster that uses a rubber air tank that you would pump it up, you would pull out the clip. It doesn't come out all the way, but you load that guy up, push it down, and it's like the what is it? The like new age rapid fire 10 or whatever. It's kind of just like that. You would pump it up, pull the trigger, and it would rapid fire these rounds off, and it would do it pretty well. This blaster holds a decent amount of ammo, not that much. I think it's about 8 or 10 rounds. And how it looks is really cool. This side is clear blue. The other side is all not clear. It's full plastic, which is a bit sad, but it's fine. It's a gimmick. It's enjoyable. And yeah, this is an actual good blaster you could still use today if it still works. And all the rest of these blasters are good blasters, but now it's just my rankings. And this one I put 8. At 7 is pretty sure where it all started with full auto power, the Wildfire. This thing is another air pressure blaster that you would pump up. You'd pump a lot. You would load its 20 round cylinder up in the front, pull that trigger, and it would just fire them all off at once in full auto madness. And this one was really cool. It worked well. It is a big shell. I actually owned one of these, but the air tank was leaking because it was completely cracked and shattered. And eventually it just stopped carrying air, so I just took its cylinder off, and that's actually how I made my shotgun. It uses this thing's cylinder. This thing, the plastic feel is, from the 90s. The handle's not great, but it does work. It works decent. 20 rounds, full auto, then you have to reload. It works. It's also a very weird plunger. It has weak plastic on the very end of the air tank, so that's what cracks and why these things are usually, not working. But it's alright. At 6 is the new age one, the Rapid Fire 20. This is the last blaster from this line, I'm pretty sure, which is just this guy, but a full finished version. This guy has 20 rounds. Also, you have to pump it, like I'm telling you have to pump these things a ton to get this thing to fire off. Better plastic, just better ergonomics in general. And this works just the same as this one, but stronger air tank. Does exactly what you want to do, and these things are still around today. And these things are still really cool, and you can still use them in battles. It's pretty awesome. And I think this thing also had a semi-auto version that semi-auto, that switch on the side is semi-auto to full auto. The semi-auto, it doesn't really, it wore out and doesn't work that well. It never really worked that well. I would recommend just full auto. At 5 is the Stinger. The Stinger is a small pocket pistol that has a sling loop for some reason. Never seen this thing. This is the first picture I've ever seen of it. You pretty much just pump it up from the handle, pull the trigger, and you get one shot. But because it's air pressure, this thing's going to be powerful. That's just how it works. It has dart storage for 2 darts, I believe. And yeah, it's just a cool looking pistol. It's definitely like futuristic. But because it only fires 1 dart and it's smaller, on the smaller side, it will just push that 1 dart at really powerful speeds, really. It also has a button instead of a trigger, which I also think is very interesting. At 4 is the Triple Strike. The Triple Strike is actually the only blaster I have ever seen or ever known that was actually made in Mexico. It says it right on the side. This thing has 3 barrels, 4 rockets, and this thing packs a punch. It has 3 different air tanks in it, so if you need an air tank, I'd recommend going after this guy. This guy is a really interesting shell, but I like it. It has a 3-stage trigger to fire off each of the barrels. It's not great though. I would recommend just firing them all off because it leaks air throughout each of the poles. And you just grab that bar on the front, you pump it up a lot, then you just pull the trigger to shotgun blast 3 if you wanted, or a little to fire 1, a little more to fire the second one, and a little bit more to fire for third. It has onboard storage for rockets too. It's a very weird, very thick, small pistol blaster. It's not small, but it's just a very bulky blaster. And I like it. The plastic quality is not good at all, but that's because it's from the 90s. And yeah. At 3 is the Lightning Blitz. The Lightning Blitz is just a full-on air pressure shotgun. You pump it up, you load 5 rounds into those barrels, you pull the trigger, fires all 5. It is an air pressured shotgun that looks very cool as heck. It's very futuristic, very technology based, and it's just a nice looking blaster that's a big pistol. It's just a shotgun pistol, and that's what is awesome, really. Nothing more to really say. At 2 is the Secret Shot 2, I believe. I don't know why it's like this, but that's just how it's called. How this one works is you pump the handle up. There are 2 triggers on it. The bottom trigger, if you pull it, will fire the round out of the front. The top trigger, you see that scope on the top, actually holds a dart. So the top will flip it down, and you pump it again, and you have another round before you have to reload. You do have to pump it both times, though. This thing's air tank is pretty dang powerful. And it's a very just cool looking blaster in my opinion. It just reminds me of a Magnum in some ways. And I don't think there's any way you can really tell that the thing is not a Nerf blaster. I mean, not a toy blaster. But yeah, the same way as the other ones. You pump it from the bomb, pull the trigger, will fire a dart. These things fire the old school Megas. I modified mine to fire half lengths, and I got mine hitting before I blew the tank on it. I got it to hit, I think I was hitting 180 with it, and it's just an impressive air tank, really. And at 1, there's only one right answer to this. It's the Split Fire. It's the greatest blaster I think has ever been. One of the greatest shotgun blasters. I modified mine. Didn't do anything to the air tanks. It still works well. It hasn't failed me. This thing has 2 small air tanks in it. It holds 2 rounds. You pump it up from the front. And this shell's really cool. One side is also, again, clear. The other side is not. It's like this green plastic. You pump it up, and then you pull the trigger to fire both. Or you can pump it up, pull the trigger a little to fire one, and the rest to fire two. And the cool thing about that is you can actually see how far you have to pull it to fire one with the clear plastic. This thing, you can see everything that's going on in the blaster, except, the closed air tanks and barrels. And the pump is just a very interesting pump. I never had anything that else did this. It makes a weird, squeaking sound. It's not bad in any way, but it just sounds interesting. The handle is okay. Trigger is pretty nice, to be honest. It's one of the best two-stage triggers I've felt, anyways. And yeah, it's just a two-shot or a one-shot shotgun. It holds 2 rounds. It's like a double-barrel shotgun, really. Nothing much else to say. I modified mine. Mine can fire 10 half darts, or it can fire 2 half darts about 165, something like that. And with that is the entire Airjet power line. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is a shorter video, but Airjet power is a special line. I really enjoy it. Just the air pressure blasters is just my bread and butter. But thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye.